It's hard to imagine any circumstance in which a parent would hand over their child to be shot. But in a corner of Northern Ireland, Londonderry, a dark side's emerging. A vigilante group which calls itself the Republican Action Against Drugs is dishing out harsh punishment to those they say are dealing drugs. Said to be responsible for the murder of one, the shooting of at least 40, RAAD, as they're known, have persuaded parents to bring their children to be shot by appointment to spare them more serious injury. In a Newsnight exclusive, Liz McKean went to speak to the members.
On the western edge of the United Kingdom, this will be centre stage next year as the national city of culture, a break with its divided past. But in pockets of Derry, we've heard about a divided present, in which some families are forced apart, when one of them is ordered to move away, or even when a parent is required to present their child to be shot in the legs.
It's probably the most hardest thing I've done in my life, to stand and watch my son getting shot.
I think that if this continues on, if they don't allow him back, I think they'll shoot him dead.
This is barbaric what they're doing. They shoot a young man down and leave 2 young children without a father.
The violence is centred on the nationalist areas of Cregan and the Bogside. Those responsible used to be members of the Provisional IRA. Now they're known as RAAD, Republican Action Against Drugs. They claim they target drug dealers. Some of their victims say otherwise. 3 months ago, there was a punch-up outside this bar. 2 cousins got into a fight with a member of RAAD. Afterwards, their families were told they would be shot.
That's where I found myself on the night with Sean was ready here.
The father of one of them insists his son had nothing to do with drugs, but he was forced to make an appalling decision, one he's willing to talk about.
We sat down as a family and we discussed our options. Option 1, we could leave the country, which I'm not doing. Option 2, go to the police, which I can't do for obvious reasons. They shoot me, or shoot my wife, or shoot my son dead for going to the police. And option 3, the easiest one, is get him shot. So we had to sit as a family and discuss the easiest way, and it was a long, long night.
Why couldn't you go to the police?
I could have went to the police, but I choose not to go to the police. Because if I went to the police, I would not be sitting here now.
Ciaran had one thing going for him. As a former member of the IRA himself, RAAD were willing to do an old comrade a favour. And they said they would shoot your son once?
Yes, because of my background as a Republican. How good of them. My son's left with a bullet, lodged in his leg, the rest has life.
Other parents also make the same desperate calculation. For this woman, anything to spare her son the dreaded 6-pack, bullets in the elbows, knees and ankles.
He was going to get really severely done. I thought, right, the best thing to do for him is to bring him forward and take him with me. Then it would be easier on him. So that's what he did, and he walked down the lane, and when he got to the bottom, he saw the men coming towards him, and I turned round. Then I heard the 2 shots. And I ran down the lane. He was just lying on the ground. And that's when I thought, he really has been shot. There was blood just lying there. And I said, are you all right? And he said, I'm all right, Mummy.
The gunmen have little difficulty in enforcing their will on a community which either doesn't trust the police or is afraid of reprisals for talking to them. Why would anyone consent to being shot? Turns out they don't have a lot of choice. Come to us, they're told, and we'll use a small caliber handgun. Or if we have to come and get you, it'll be with a shotgun. And the injuries will be far worse, even life-threatening. This woman's son, who has a long history of drug and social problems, has been ordered out of Derry.
He's been put out of his own home. He's now had to go somewhere where he doesn't know anybody. It's really hard for him because he has a lot of problems as well. And he's always had my support. Now he's got no support whatsoever.
Since 2008, more than 40 young men have been shot. Dozens more have been ordered to leave the city. terrorised by people they know, but who remain faceless to the outside world. Through an intermediary, I arranged to meet them. I've just met and interviewed 2 members of RAAD's leadership. They refused to be filmed, but agreed to answer all my questions. Both claim to be former members of the Provisional IRA. They also said their group had weapons and explosives, and the same capability the Provisionals had before the ceasefire.
We have the capability.
That last claim is described as lacking all credibility by the police. We've reconstructed the meeting with actors. I asked the men to justify their assertion that the community is behind them.
This isn't just ex-provos. These are people at university, people at work, in call centres, unemployed, women, housewives, the whole community. They store arms, weapons, explosives, cars. They provide us with meeting houses, safe houses, wash houses. We're in contact with our community 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. We're in and out of people's houses.
But they're scared of you?
No. That's not it.
They had this to say about their methods.
We don't beat anybody. We never have.
No, we don't.
It's a thing we don't do. We shoot people. We have not beaten anybody. We class our people as volunteers and soldiers. We give them weapons of war to do their job.
It's long been the language of paramilitary groups across Northern Ireland, while the tactics have been to resist the police. At a recent protest, a BBC crew captured the moment when RAAD bombed a PSNI vehicle. They told us there would be similar attacks unless police searches stopped. The PSNI have a dilemma. How do they police a community where people won't give evidence and where their officers may not be safe?
We have been brought into the area deliberately with hoax devices being planted, and when police go in, they're petrol bombed. So that means that when police officers go in, they have to go in equipped and in numbers to protect themselves, and that can create an imagery associated with the past that these groups seek to exploit.
People who think the police can't help them come here for support. At Rosemount Community Centre, Hugh Brady, another former IRA man, has interceded in 112 cases in the last 12 months.
There's still people who believe that we don't have a proper policing service. And in those areas, what they've turned to are people like RAAD to deal with drug dealers. Now, we talked about the instant justice. The difficulty in this community at the moment is that a drug dealer is arrested by police. They're charged, they're out on bail the next day, and they continue dealing drugs. Now, the community don't see the process of law and justice. All they see is a drug dealer back in the street and back in their community delivering poison to their children.
So far, RAAD have maintained a distinct identity from the so-called dissident Republican groups like the real IRA. But that was blurred recently when they appeared together at a protest against policing. RAAD refused to comment on any links between them and the dissident groups, saying their only aim is to tackle drug dealing and the antisocial behaviour it brings.
And we know we're never going to eradicate the drugs problem. There will always be people who make profits from people. But we're going to make it dangerous for them.
And the group boasts it has the means to do that. We have no way of checking the credibility of their claims.
We're strong enough that we can operate in Derry, Donegal, Strabane, Dungiven. We have more weapons in Derry than the IRA had prior to the ceasefire. We can do everything that the IRA used to do. We have that capability.
To encourage people to speak out against RAAD, a new confidential helpline has been launched. In the meantime, the gunmen remain judge, jury, and in one case, executioner. Andrew Allen was first exiled from Derry, then followed over the border into the Republic of Ireland and murdered.
Well, they're saying that he was a drug dealer and antisocial behaviour, but that's just their way of justifying what they done.
Andrew's family are adamant that although he could attract trouble, he was not involved with drugs. His mother is urging people to speak out.
This town does not want this. Like, this is going to be a city of culture. You know, how can it be called a city of culture if this here's going on it?
Next year, Derry will show itself off as a vibrant, forward-looking place. But ever-present too is its other culture of violent republicanism. People who've kept their weapons and are prepared to use them.